Club.
Yeah, you know.
Are you already recording? Good.
Yeah, I'm just gonna get it.
All right.
Good stuff.
Can you bleep things out?
Yeah.
Okay, good. If I get out of control here, you gotta.
Yeah, anything you say can and will be held against you. At this point.
No plausible deniability at all.
None. Nope. Not in this room.
At all.
You're not safe anymore.
Yeah, I never have been. They told me this was a safe space. I am not feeling safe at the moment.
So what else? The tenderloin.
The tenderloin?
The tenderloin?
Yeah, tenderloin.
What, like the area?
The area. Yeah.
So like you could say like my house is in the tenderloin. Come check it out.
You don't want to check out a house in the tenderloin.
So I'm guessing.
I don't want to either.
I'm guessing that in San Francisco, like something that's geographic is like the tenderloin part of an animal. Like it must
Maybe.
look like that.
That's a good point.
That makes sense.
Because what other reason would there be?
This line of thinking is what we need.
Yes.
Good. I'm happy to be contributing right out of the gate.
We're gonna put this in the episode.
Yeah. We'll put this as like a bonus to the bonus.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about, what was it? Was it you and I, Guad, talking about this last night? Texting?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, like, the idea of, like, there are a lot of things that if you don't come to my office and sit with me, you probably don't know about me at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like particularly a student, like a distance runner who sits in here maybe as 2 seconds in an entire 4-year period. Maybe this is an accessibility thing where it's
True.
like, oh, hey, that guy has these thoughts. I definitely don't want to know him. I should definitely not go in his office.
Yeah.
We wanted you to talk about how you want the sport to change structurally a little bit.
At the collegiate level?
Yeah.
Okay, so like specifically about like going back to more of a dual, like a head-to-head.
Yeah.
Okay.
We should probably introduce you first.
Yes, go for it.
Yeah. So anyway, this is our episode, like our bonus episode of Watch the Clock. I'm Dom,
I'm enough.
and today we've got a couple of special guests. We've got head coach Eric Schmuhl of Case Western.
Yes.
Howdy.
He is what? You're 35, 36.
I'm 36 years old. I am married, father of 2 young girls, live on the west side of Cleveland. Born and raised greater Cleveland man. Lifetime Browns fan. And we're going to take it all this year.
No,
a big
you're not,
one.
dude.
Yeah, settle down.
Pump the brakes.
What else do you know? I've been here. I'm starting my 8th season
Yeah, that's fucking.
as head coach at Case Western Reserve. And
Fun fact.
ooh, that's on the spot. Fun fact. I've spent a good amount of time this summer reading about lawn care
Oh.
and how to properly
That's the thing he wants people to know.
Here we go. Hey, because when you got a house and you got a lawn, you get to this point where you start to pay a lot of attention to your lawn. You ever notice how old men have these pristine lawns?
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's just a natural progression of the male mind right there. You get to this point where you're like, why do I got all these weeds? My guy next to me doesn't have these weeds. Why doesn't he have these weeds? And you start thinking about, you got chemicals you got to throw out
Oh
there.
my God.
You got to put the right seed down.
Whoa.
You got to aerate that stuff.
You
I mean,
aerate?
Oh, you know it. I got to.
Dude, you aerate.
So I
I
bought over the summer. I went so far as to, because my yard is it's too small. It's only a 1/4 acre plot, right? So it's too small to get a tractor in there with an aerator that's like 1,000-pound weighted roller or whatnot. So I bought this thing that looks like a horseshoe on the end of a cane,
Okay.
and I just stomp it out.
Oh my God.
I just stomp it out. I went out there a couple nights ago, coming in hot, just knocking these cores out of the ground, and next morning I went out there. It looked like a dog went all over the place.
Oh, man.
It was a mess. But yeah, I'm very interested. Well, yes, that is my fun fact. Is I spent a lot of time this summer trying to learn like why certain grasses grow better in Northeast Ohio and what's the proper planting methodology, and I just got into it. And so
Sounds awesome.
I guess it's not a fun fact. That's just like a random. I did this recently, and it's what's on my mind.
Yeah, that
So-
makes sense.
So that's one of our special guests.
All right.
We got him.
We have triple jump and long jump and high jump. Well,
And
jumps,
high jump.
Jumps
coach,
guru.
jumps guru Sam Guadagnino and biomechanics expert.
Yeah.
Howdy.
That's him.
That's right,
It's
howdy.
me.
Give him the how do you do.
How do you do? I'm Sam. They all call me Guad.
Yeah.
I,
Guad.
I competed with Dominant Nunn for a couple years and then coached them this past year. And yeah, I like track. like biomechanics.
Coach the UAA champ right here.
Greatest moment of ever.
Yeah.
I agree.
Like the greatest triple jump moment in UAA history, perhaps. I'll put that up. I'll put that on there. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I would love to have one of the old timers come at me and tell me about a time that wasn't that dramatic of a championship.
Can't.
You just can't do it.
Six
like
round
that.
jump like that? No
Can't
way.
do it. Can't do it. Stop blushing.
I mean, I have nothing to say.
Yeah. Anyway, Glad, about yourself.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of it. I'm not too big on the fun facts thing.
Come on, you gotta have one.
The guy knows more about Western Pennsylvania than anybody probably ever. Knows every school, every borough.
You know everything about sports. You gotta have.
Yeah,
a
you
fun
do know that
fact.
too.
Yeah, come on.
Problem is, there's too many.
Yes, dude, you just can't. The
Can't
database is
isolate.
Can't
overflowing.
pick one out.
I mean, I enjoy to cut the grass if we're gonna go on the low lawn care theme here,
All right.
but not too exciting of a person.
That's,
So
that's so false.
That is patently
I
false.
can't. I'm not gonna. This reminded me like a college icebreaker here with the fun facts.
All right,
I'm
that's fine.
Yeah, that's
struggling
fine.
with
Let's
that.
not put him on the spot.
Yeah. Fun facts are tough to come up with.
True.
Yeah. So anyway, something that we want to talk about today is we think that Coach Schmuhl and also Guad have some very interesting ideas about structure, like the structure of collegiate track and field and how that might change, or how he wants that to change in the future.
Sure.
So,
Do you have like a specific question, or you just want me to go nuts?
like the way that you see it now,
Yeah.
like how do you view it now,
Okay.
and then walk us through like how do you think it could be?
So right now, I think that there's a lot of mark seeking. It's a lot of who can get the fastest time, and I think it takes a lot away from the head-to-head, team-to-team competition element. I think that going to a national meet with 5 guys and finishing second is a thing that most sports fans, I don't know if they can grip that in terms of team championship. Years ago there was a team, no names, that had essentially 3 girls win the indoor national championship for D3. 3 girls. And that was something that was very difficult for the average sports fan to be like, how is that a team championship?
Mm-hmm.
So the question comes up all the time at the convention level of like, what are ways we can enhance our sport? What are ways that we can get more, in my opinion, viewership? I think it's all about television and getting more people to engage themselves with the sport via television or media, whatever. But I think that one of the inherent risks that you have in track is that you're always going to be pushing the boundaries of human performance. You don't want to take that away. That's a great thing. People tune in. They're going to tune in. They're going to tune in a month. They're going to tune in because they want to watch the 400-meter hurdle final.
Yeah.
People are going to want to see a world record fall, right?
my God.
Do they ever want to see that race this
God,
year?
yeah.
So
Oh my God.
I can tell this is a hot one for you. A hot one for me too. But
You said human performance.
everybody wants that,
Yes.
right? Everybody wants to see the boundaries pushed.
Mhm.
But I think one of the reasons why track and field was very successful throughout the mid 20th century was because there were these nationalist kind of like, the Russians. They had all the great athletes, and even before that, during the Second World War, pre-Second World War, with Adolf Hitler, and like you think about all that tension
Yeah.
that made people focus on the head-to-head of
Right.
nations. And now when you watch the Olympics, it's mild at best. You know what I mean? You don't get that feeling of like, yeah, we're going up against the Brits, or we're going up against the Russians or the Chinese.
I think they're starting to come back to that a little bit more now.
I hope they do.
Next week
Yeah.
they're having it's
Europe
what's called
versus the USA.
yeah, like the
Oh,
like
I like
U.S. versus Europe. It's
Yeah.
supposed to be like I think
It's the first time, yeah.
it's the first time. But like I think the goal is to just like have it be the thing that people covet eventually.
so that there it is. That lines up with what I'm talking
There
about.
you
That
go.
idea
Get back
of
to that.
you can never deny the fact that people want to see the absolute limits pushed.
Yeah. But that doesn't happen every week.
Exactly. And so in my opinion at the college level it's even more difficult because people in America, when you associate a logo, Alabama, Kentucky,
Yeah.
whatever, you're looking for teams. Like people want to see teams. I think that the same problem probably exists for tennis, for other individual style sports where it's like, okay, who's really
Swimming.
who's really competing against each other here? But I look back and really good book for those of you track fans out there. The Bowerman and the Men of Oregon book, there's specific sections of that book that talk about the duels that took place between Oregon and USC and how these were, and Stanford, these were major competitions that at that point in time, there were very few college sports that were being televised anyway, but they would fill stadiums to watch a dual track meet because they knew who there was going to be a winner.
I can't even picture that.
Me too.
They knew who was going to be a winner.
Yeah.
Like they knew at the end of the day, everybody was competing to contribute to a team win.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and one of the most exciting parts of our team culture is the duel every year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Case Western versus Carnegie Mellon. That's what those two teams look forward
And
to.
it's funny because Uncle Gary and I talked about this last week. We had a little chat, and it's something that it started to pick up fuel nationally with other teams. Like I believe there's an Indiana-Tennessee duel that goes on, and there's a couple other bigger school ones.
I think LSU and Houston are thinking about doing one too. Two like the big sprint schools.
Yeah. And so it makes sense because, again, like people want to know who won. People want to see that head-to-head. But I think it almost is conflicting with that human performance pushing thing where I don't want to call it an identity crisis, but I will. I don't think we know what direction to go. Do we go all in on the Usain Bolt? We want to see 9.4? Or of course we want to see 9. Do we? Yeah. But like, it's the challenge that we'll always have in our sport in terms of being seen as a team sport. But when it comes to the human limits, it's individual. It's challenging. And I don't know if other sport, I don't pay attention enough. I don't know if swimming has found a way around this. I know at the national level in Division III, it's like Kenyon, Denison, and Emory, and it's like a 3-team championship at the D3 Nationals, and it's every year they're going up against each other, and it gets a lot of publicity and whatnot. But my vision of where I think things could go very, very well is if we went back to a format where teams would be involved in almost a super duel kind of atmosphere where you can still have your 5-6 team invitational, but you score each team head-to-head against each other, and then your advancement to national tournaments was based on the strength of your team. So if you have a team where you have a guy that's setting national records in the 100 and the 200, but you ain't have anybody else on the team, no one's backing his points up, then they may not make it out. You know what I mean? It puts that team building ownership on the program director and saying, we're not, and this, I know this is something that I think about all the time, we're a sprint school, we're a throw school, you know what I mean? What is it, Mississippi State's like Javelin University or whatever it is.
That's true. They
And-
actually do
And
like
Florida's
always
like
produce.
jump you.
Yeah.
And
jump
so-
pole.
So that's something that is, it's cute and you know, people, it can be marketed and whatnot on social media, but I think that complete track and field is important. I think that having a team that can do all the things is what every coach should try to do.
Yeah.
But in current format, it doesn't matter because you can win with 5 guys.
Yeah.
So the idea, I guess, kind of in summary, would be to create a system where you can't win with 5 guys, no matter how good they are. You need to win with 15 to 20 guys
Makes sense.
or gals. You got to have balance, you know, and I think that's. Yeah, go ahead. Fire
I think
things
at
away.
the D1 level though, it's a little different than like the D3 example that you gave.
Yeah.
Because like they put like 15 to 20 people into nationals and they compete for every point.
That's true.
In the D1 level at nationals.
And it's always like lately, it's been determined by a point or
they
two
came down
here
to
or
the
there.
4x4 this year.
Yeah,
A couple of bobbled.
yeah, some
I don't even know what
silliness.
happened? Yeah.
Yeah, silliness. But you're right. I think D1 definitely has that vibe going. I guess what I wish I could see is that national championship be head-to-head 2 teams. You know what I mean? Like, I wish that it would culminate in that. Like, at the end of the day, the only reason that the national meet in D1 is so close and so competitive is because everyone's doing the same thing. Everyone's got those 12. Well, what if it took a team of 20? And how should I say this? If right now every team that's competing for the title is getting about 12 guys, well, what if it took 20 guys and 20 guys head to head, and you had to spread it out, like you had to make actual strategic decisions, like, okay, this team we're scoring it in old-fashioned dual format,
Yeah.
and we know they're going to sweep us.
So
in the
how
5K. So we're going to pull a guy from the 5K, stack him in the 3. It makes coaching strategy relevant.
Mhm.
And right now it's kind of just roll them out. You know what I mean? Get them out on the track, see what they can do. I mean,
Right.
distance obviously there's a lot of strategy, a lot of, are they going to go out slow, that sort of thing. But I guess I'm a fan of the overall, like trying to strategize to win head to head. And at the end of the day, there is a winning team and a losing team. Give you the example. This always drives me crazy. If you go to the national meet and your team finishes second by a point, there's the champion and then there's second place. But like in the NCAA basketball tournament, I'm pointing at Guad because of that we love basketball, talking hoops, right?
Yeah.
If you lose in the national title game, you're a loser.
That's true.
You know what I mean? And I think
Yeah.
people like that. People like the absolute. They like the
Right.
black and white nature of that. Whereas track, it's almost like it's tough to understand. I when I spend time with family and friends, they say, "Oh, how'd the team do?" So I'm like, "Man, the guys kicked ass. They were third. It was awesome down in Atlanta, flaming it up."
Right.
And all of a sudden, they're like, "What's third?
Yeah.
Like, what does it even mean?" I'm like, "Well, it's kind of the current high water mark. Like it's good, but who won? You know what I mean? Like it's either win or you lost with
Yeah.
most people."
Mhm.
And so I think marketability of the sport and getting more people to pay attention to it has a lot to do with that societal factor of what they pay attention to, winner and loser. And we're in this unique area where like nobody cares if LeBron James scores 5,000 points in a
Right.
game or something like that, but everybody who tunes into track, they're looking for that. They're looking for Usain Bolt.
Yeah.
Because when track is in the headlines, it's because of that.
Right.
Usain Bolt did this thing.
Yeah, and that's not sustainable, right? Because it's
Can't break
once
records
a-
every week.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so how are people
Yeah.
going to pay attention to something that happens once every 7-10 years? Like
Exactly.
that's, I mean, right now, like I'm paying more attention to IAAF, partly because of YouTube goons, like you got me back stoked into it. But when I think about like the overall nature of world track and field right now, there's so much incredible stuff happening.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is a time where the world should be paying attention, but
Yeah.
it's not. Or not the way that in the United States, I should say, not in the way that we would want them to, as a sport, to become a higher on the totem pole priority of people watching. I feel like there's more people that watch the damn bull riding on TV than there are that watch track. It's like,
Oh,
what?
sure.
Dude, people watch like darts.
Yeah.
Dude, that's a big
Yeah,
thing.
darts are
Yeah.
big in like in England.
Yeah.
They're big. Like I have a buddy who always talks about like how the endorsement deals for darts
Mhm.
are like millions of dollars. I'm like,
Are you
darts?
serious?
Yes. Yeah, they have endorsement deals from like alcohol companies and whatnot.
Dude, wait.
It has a huge following.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like cricket. Cricket, massive.
Well,
Yeah.
cricket's probably different than
Sure.
darts.
Yeah.
Well, and
More
it,
of a sport.
Yeah, cricket's
and then
bigger
there's
than
bowling.
darts.
There's bowling, the
Bowling,
great
that's
American
another one,
game.
yeah.
You can be
The Big
400 pounds
Lebowski,
and rip
baby.
it.
Oh.
It's the only event where you could smoke a cigar, drink a beer, and roll a ball, and be given money for that.
Yeah.
True.
Champion,
What would be interesting too, bring it back to track at the professional level, it makes it especially hard to like have that kind of super dual format. Because you mentioned that cup, like the Euro
Yeah,
versus
yeah.
US thing, right? And we'll draw people into that if you have like the star like Christian Taylor or somebody like that. I
Yeah.
don't know who the lineup is.
That's
but
the
like,
thing. Yeah, I don't think they're gonna have
You-
like the 8 teams.
Yeah, you're never gonna attract that, which is tough. It's unfortunate.
Right.
But like, it would still be exciting to see that. But like the D1 level,
Yeah.
kind of doing it like they do with cross country, right? So they have,
Excellent point.
you have certain teams that qualify to the meet,
Mhm.
and that they're
Mhm.
scored and rated against each other, and then you just have the people that qualify individually.
Yeah.
So then you have, they're all racing together, so you can still see the best. You can still see like that same type of competition.
Mhm.
But you still, at the end of the day, have a team title because they their team earned the spot into that
Yeah.
arena. That's something that we did kind of in the WIPU in Western PA for high school. Is there's a separate team championship meet and a separate individual meet, which I don't think you can do in a collegiate level because nobody's going to sign up for an extra meet like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Especially whether it's D3 or D1, like nobody wants their kids to have to go through an extra meet of championship level environment, and then probably the next week have to compete at an individual stage potentially.
Makes sense.
That's another good point about peak performance. Like our sport is based around this idea of peak performance. Well, what if I told you I don't like that? What if I told you that? I give you the example of Dom. Like Dom in my mind, Dom could score in IM hurdles, the high hurdles, the long jump, the triple jump, watch your back, Jack, the
geez,
javelin, the high jump. He could do that. What if I said, all right, I'm going to pull him from this event because I need to maximize his point total to
Right.
beat Carnegie Mellon. Like, we value the peak performance so much that it kind of takes away from that element of, all right, this guy's got to do everything he can to do it for his team. It's like John Elway with broken ribs going out there and slinging it. Like, you want to see the best athletes do the absolute sacrifices to win. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but that's
No.
I really think that that's what's tough is we're training for 1-1. We're
Yeah.
training for one big one,
Yep.
and week to week I can't put Dom in 13 events every weekend and expect him to live. You're dead. Like, it's yeah. I mean, that's a very unique part of track, and like you can't have a meet every weekend. I mean, I bet you football people hate me for this because they play every weekend and they're beating the crap out of themselves. But like, you put somebody in 7 to 10 events every single Saturday in head-to-head dual combat, they're going to break quick.
Yeah.
They're not going to make it.
Yeah.
And so, again, it's I don't know if there's ever going to be a perfect system. I think my biggest thing is I want to see more of that head-to-head where coaches have to make hard decisions about their roster, where to place people, and to get the absolute point total against a competitor, the way we do with the duel. I think that's my natural desire. Go ahead.
What if, like, at the national meet, because it's hard to say that, like, only 2 teams can compete at the national meet,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, what if you tried to, is it enough to say, like, you could hybridize that and bring it to, like, 8 teams and then super score that way?
It's funny you mentioned that because that was actually, I think, Tyler Weingard at Christopher Newport literally created a proposal on the spot at convention and then went to the lab and, built up all this information of like how we could do that. Like, essentially create like power rankings using dual formulation. So you only took the top 8 dual combat teams. I'm calling it combat. Why am I saying combat? This isn't
I
war.
like it.
This
Dual
isn't war.
combat.
But you only take those top 8 teams or
Yeah.
top 12 teams, and so there's one national meet, but you then seed it accordingly. So if you have a kid on your team and your team is in those top 12 teams and you're in the national meet fighting for a team championship, it doesn't mean you take your stud out of the hot heats. It just means that there's going to be some slower heats that are going to work out all those other point positions in a super dual format.
Yeah.
Right.
I loved it. I thought it was a great idea. It got shat on hard. I mean, everybody in the joint was just like, but it was funny because it came from,
What was, like, the big contention with it?
I think, change. I think there. Well, it spurred out of people. Pete Farwell from Williams stood up at the microphone. If you know Pete, he's a much older gentleman, very very small and like nasally voice. And so he goes with the microphone. And he goes, "I've put up a proposal to eliminate the indoor championship. There will no longer be an indoor championship." And people were like, "What the hell's this?" And then
can't do
it
that.
spurred into this like, okay, if we all can agree, or most of us can agree, that the indoor championship is a flawed thing, and we would like to change it for the sake of whether it's more media following or maybe just having a true champion. And again, part of it, people brought up that in indoor, more than outdoor, you can win with 3 kids.
Yeah.
You really can't. So that was when Tyler was like, all right, I'm going to go back and crunch the numbers and everything. And he came out with that proposal, and I think that it kind of died on the hill that things always die on, which is the NCAA will never support that. Like, that's you then are talking about flying out full squads from these 12 teams co-ed, and then you're talking about completely restructuring it for one division,
Yeah.
because D1 will never do it.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why I think the regional formatting of outdoor track and field never catches it. Everyone wants to do it. It never catches fire because we all know that the NCAA is not going to, extremely unlikely to want to pay for a round.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A qualifying round,
Right.
where just like cross country, when we go to cross country regionals, those athletes, that trip is paid for by the NCAA, I think, because it's a first round, right? No, I'm sorry, it isn't paid for because it's the first round. They only pay for the
The first
championship
round
round.
isn't paid for.
Yeah, it's not paid for the first round. But get everybody to one of 8 locations based on your region, and you have to qualify for those regional meets, and then to get out you have to be top 2, or you have to hit an auto qualifier. Like
that. Yeah, that was what I was gonna say. Like, what if it's the same 12 teams every year? Because part of it, I feel like
it's basically the WEAC. It would be the WEAC
yeah, exactly.
every year.
Just to be the WEAC every single year.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that's one of the things it's even unique in Division I. You've noticed this over the past couple of years, where if an administration really cares, they're going to build a really nice track, hire a really expensive coach that's done it somewhere else, Stanford, wherever, and then get that person, the athletes they need, and all of a sudden Kentucky's good at track. They were not good at track.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
They got the
So,
hurdles.
and if they want to sustain that the way University of Oregon does, well, then they will. I mean, you saw kind of a fall with Arkansas after the McConnell era, but now you can see. I think it's Buckham now. I think Craig Buckham's the coach. But like now you're seeing that. But there's other schools where it's been Houston. Houston was incredible in the '80s, and then they, it's.
Carl
I think
Lewis brought him back.
that's right.
Dead.
C. Lou. But yeah, I would hope.
Carl Lewis. Juice man.
The juice. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Let's not talk about the juice.
It's not gonna go on record.
Let's talk about the juice.
I can
But-
neither confirm nor deny.
But when you think about like that potential of having the same 12 teams, I think that's administrations have to say, well, we want in. Like they have to make that commitment and say, no, it's not just going to be North Central, WashU, and the WEAC all the time. Like we want in on that, and so we're going to have to do something about it.
Fair enough.
Which is tough in Division III because it's always a money game, and in Division I they can do it, especially if they're a state institution and they're throwing tax dollars and whatnot. Like they can do different things. D3, I think the WEAC has a substantial advantage just because of proximity of their schools and the nature of like there's no D1 options. You're either going to Madison, Milwaukee, Green Bay, or maybe Montana. But like you think about that portion of the country and how it kind of could collect all those kids. It would be like Ohio if you took away the D2s in Ohio. Take away Ohio if you take away Malone, Walsh, Tiffin, who am I forgetting? Ashland. You take away all those schools. You look at the talent that is in the Great Lakes area to go to D3 schools in Ohio. The OAC would be just like the WEAC.
Yeah.
Just like it, if not better. Publish that. Ohio better than Wisconsin. Coming at you.
Right.
Coming at you.
It's on record.
But yeah, I lost my train of thought. But that's. I would hope that what would happen is natural, kind of the free market competition element of like someone cares enough, they're going to find a way to get into it. You know what I mean? Or you're always going to have that let's just call it the unicorn team, like the BW women's team of 2016. That's a once in probably 25 year thing that just happens. I don't know much about it, but Loris this year, outdoor for the women's side, like I don't know if that's sustainable. I would hope so, but if an administration wants to make the commitment to it, like I think you can do that. But I interrupted you a long time ago, Glad, and I don't know if we've come back to what we were talking about there.
No, I mean you kind of extended what I was talking about because I was just mentioning like I guess the main thing I was thinking of was the making the outdoor nationals of track like cross country where you have the team competition in addition to the individual in one meet. I think for a lot of reasons that doesn't really necessarily work out in track because of a timing issue and like size of fields and things like that. Because now if you have, let's say, 8 to 10 teams, so then you can enter maximum of 3 in each event. So how do you work that into the individual competitions and things of that nature throughout the day? But that's kind of what I would hope because it allows you to have a team champion and all of these individual potential records and things like that everybody wants to see those records followed.
I guess, I had a question about that. So earlier you said, like, we're having an identity crisis, which is, like, having to choose between, like, chasing the boundaries and, like, team-centric aspect. Like, do you think it's mutually exclusive? Like, do you think that if we focus on team competition, then...
No, I don't.
We're going to slow down the progress?
I think
That's a good question.
I think there's a hybrid.
Okay.
I do. I think the problem is that no one wants to compromise.
Yeah.
It's just like our political environment. Like, no one ever wants to come to the table and say, all right, I'll give up this for this. There's very much a way to do that. He just described it. I mean, you can still have the absolute best of the best competing and pushing those boundaries, but then you also have this wonderful sidebar that is the team to team. That's why I said like the idea of taking the top 12 teams and every team is given 3 entries per event, and then you just seed it according to Marx. And if at the end of the day a coach says, well, I'm not going to put a third entry in the hurdles because I want to do this other thing. You know what I'm saying? Like there becomes that coaching strategy element to it that I think is really, it's really an important part of a team championship. Trey is probably going to want to run like 5 events in the duel this year because he hates karting so much. But like we have to make those decisions of how to not kill his body, and you know what I mean. And okay, if they're going to enter so and so, who knows? Maybe we just put a mile and 5K, go for 10 points, and that's it. Don't worry about anything else. Like he doesn't have to double 3.5. But I like when coaches have to make those decisions. I think that at the end of the day, when you have 2 coaches head to head having to make those types of decisions, there's someone's going to get the best of somebody. It's chess, you know what I mean? Just like in football. And I think that's what makes people pay more attention. Be like, ooh, they're going to regret that. They put they put down the shot put today, and they do like, what are we doing? Looking to sneak a point. That's all.
That thing in the Super Bowl, Marshawn Lynch, when they didn't run the ball.
Yeah.
They passed it.
Yeah.
And whenever that was,
a couple of years ago, I think it was the Denver Seattle.
Yeah.
You would know this better than me. You remember everything.
It was a Patriots Seattle. It would have been
14.
I think it was my freshman year. Yeah, 14 or 15.
I knew you'd remember. This guy's the friggin' book.
Dude.
Might as well. This is like the human sports almanac,
Sports
encyclopedia, all that.
Encyclopedia.
But yeah, I love that element of. I mean, I'm not a big football knowledge person, but I pay attention to football specifically because I think that the coaches having to call plays and like a lot of instinct, a lot of spur of the moment, like, okay, this will work here. Like there's some genius to that I think is really cool for sport. I think about in basketball, and Glad you can correct me on this, but like basketball, there's a lot more free play than in football. Like football, you're calling a play, everyone's got to do their precise job to make it work. Basketball, I mean, that's why you get away with these super team things. Like you got 2 really good athletes who are dominant over somebody smaller or slower and not as accurate. I wish there was a way to bring that coach piece to the track world and say, got to make a decision,
But like one way that we already do that in the sport is just like how to not like peak at the right time, how to make sure that you're getting the most out of your athlete.
It's more on the training side.
Yeah,
it really
training
is.
side.
Well, I wonder too if there's a market for that. Like if society were to pay more attention to sports sciences, if physiology of exercise was something that people were interested in, then they probably would. I mean, that's what I think attracts me to swimming. Like I pay attention to swimming at the Olympic Games, not just because I want to see the U.S. do well, but like I'm so curious, like the regimentation of how they've trained to that point, like the quadrennial elements of it. You're training 4 years for the Olympic Games. It's not about 1 week at a time, 1 year. I mean, it is, but you get what I'm saying? Like you're training to peak at that competition off a 4 year. Mm-hmm. To me, that's incredible. I love it, but I'm weird. I'm not the average sports fan with that type of thing. Look at last week. I mean, you're talking about sports fans. Last week, Andrew Luck retires, and you got this whole contingent of people that are like, "What a loser! What a quitter!" Okay, bud. Yeah. Like if you were working in a coal mine, and one day someone was like, "Yeah, you don't have to do this anymore." Yeah. like who's gonna fault that person for saying, "Yeah, I'm out"? But it's this whole all for the glory kind of mentality, and I'm sure all those people had money line. They had money. Sure. They had the Colts going, 12-4 and getting a first round bye or something, which wouldn't have happened anyway because the Brownies are coming for you.
Yikes.
Bakerville, baby, watch out now.
Say so.
Yeah. I really don't mean that, America. Whoever's listening to this, America, all you
all
you
four
out there,
viewers.
all 4 of you. Listen, I love my Browns.
All 4 listeners in the room right now.
Yeah. I love my Browns, but they are. I think they are very much. They're like an entry-level playoff team. They will get to the first round, and they have a chance to win. But I don't think anything better than that. I mean, it's
too much of a learning curve.
Yeah, well, that and your offensive line's crap. Like you can't win like that, and you're we're going way off topic here. You're struggling to find a kicker. I mean, for the love of God, what is going on in the NFL? You can't no one can find someone who can kick a ball. Sign me up, man. Give me a 1-day contract. I'll go.
Go ahead.
I'll rip it, man.
Sounds
I may blow out a hammy,
It's
a
got that
glute.
contract.
I'll blow out a hammy, a glute, and my neck.
There we go.
But I'll put that thing somewhere near those poles. It's worth it. What other things are you guys thinking about? What do we got here?
Oh man, I had a question, and then you started talking about the Browns.
Isn't that how it works?
Yeah.
You come in this office, that's what happens, man. The tangents.
Mm.
It's like Wild West in here. You're just shooting shots all over the place. Who knows?
Oh, I guess I was just curious about this. As like a side note, like, do you know what happened with this whole Stanford? Like, the whole coaching staff left and went to North Carolina.
I don't. I know Gabe Sanders. I am friends with through the convention or the the national whatever, and I know he went to BU because family. Like he's
Okay.
from the Northeast, and so he
Yeah.
wanted to go back home.
Mm.
But I have no idea if there was bad blood or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure that'll come out at some point if it hasn't already. But I don't really hang out with the D1 crowd that much,
Yeah.
other than that
How
week
many-
of
How
the
many
year.
people in D1 do you know?
Couple dozen, but like know them through committee work. You know what I mean? It's like you have a beer with them. Oh, can I say that?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, yeah.
That's right. I'm 36, man. I'm 36, man.
You're under 21?
I can do whatever I want. Grown ass man. But no, a convention, like you work on committees with people, and sometimes through like the hiring processes of coaching, like if someone's looking for a sprint coach or a throws coach or whatever, and you start to find mutual acquaintances, a lot of times that's how those relationships build up. Or sometimes if you buy a track from a certain manufacturer and they want to take you all out to dinner, and then you get to know them at the
Speaking of-
dinner, you know.
We had an idea.
Lay it on
What
me.
was the idea?
Blue Mondo.
Oh yeah.
We want the Blue Mondo.
The Blue Mondo?
Yeah.
Blue
All right.
outdoor.
For our
Outdoor?
For our,
Oh,
yeah,
man.
For our track.
And
Well-
it's not this blue. We want the professional.
The like
world-class.
So-
sea blue track.
It is possible, and I'll tell you why, because this
And
university
get rid
loves...
of the football field.
Get rid of it?
Yeah, make it a
Yeah,
throwing
it's
field
a
on the
throwing
inside.
field. Yeah.
Can already be a throwing field.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So-
Silence the discussion.
Yeah.
Wait, you're not wrong about that though.
Yeah, give me
Yeah,
a
no.
discus, a shot would be a little tough, but like, I mean, you could probably do it.
Mm.
It wouldn't hurt the field, right?
Yeah.
Wait, what were you gonna say about why it's possible?
It's possible because this place cares about image so much, like
Mm.
aesthetics. You know what I mean? Like if
Oh.
you were to pitch them on it, like yes, this is going to be a one of a
It's
kind.
like a crown jewel.
Well, and
Oh my! It would
You
be
can-
the crown
would
jewel,
be.
though.
so at BW you could pitch and say, hey, we can host a national meet, and that's going to bring in X million dollars of revenue to the city of Berea
Yeah.
through just travel and whatnot.
Uh-huh.
Because we did that. Like that's how we would say, like, yeah, we've got this incredible facility. We're going to host nationals, and you're going to get $1.4 million of revenue, whatever it was. I don't even
Yeah,
know what
yeah.
the number was. But here, that's chicken feed, man. That's small potatoes, and so they're not going to be sold. Air shows in town. Yeah,
It certainly is.
yeah. So you're not going to get. Well done.
Well, did you say Flyboy Echevarria finally went 865?
It was incredible.
Oh, yeah, it's about time somebody's
Yeah.
jumping forward.
Isn't that the guy that we were talking about in the van on the way back from nationals? You
I
were,
think so.
who we
Because
were
that
like,
was
we're
when he
like,
was
what
on
is
the-
this guy? Like, what
that
is
was
he
when
doing?
he was
Yeah,
in
that was
89.
just shitting the bed.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, right. That's exactly
yeah.
what it was.
But yeah.
So what was this? Oh, so anyway, so like you're dealing with like Fortune 500 mentality at a university like this, and so you'd have to pitch it on the idea of, all right, this is going to cost you X more than a bind track,
Mhm.
and it's worth it because then we can farm ourselves out to hosting other competitions that bring, like, if honestly, I think that they'd be more inclined to do that if I were to pitch them the Masters Championship of USA Track and Field. Why?
Whoa.
Why? Because what do Masters athletes have?
Money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like you go to nationals out
What
at
if we
Geneva.
rented out the village to like track fans.
Exactly. And you
Like over the summer.
Displace all the students.
oh, and you put the
We
the
really
balconies become just
Yeah.
you put a cooler out there with some brews and
yeah.
you say, yeah, this is the suite.
Enjoy the track.
Exactly. Enjoy the
Yeah,
track.
and we could like really host like world class.
Yeah.
Like great relays or
Yeah.
something.
It's, but again, it takes
Maybe not actually.
Maybe
it
not.
takes that vision hitting home with somebody up top,
Yeah.
and it, at this point it hasn't really happened.
Makes
But like,
sense.
if you were to tell them, yeah, the Masters meet, they know that older people have more disposable income, and so they'd be willing to do that. But I give you the example, and you guys, actually all three of you know this from the national meet, like the national meet in Geneva, Ohio, at Spire,
Yeah.
and decent crowds, but nowhere close. Like if you did the math,
Yeah.
the number of entries, the number of competitors in that meet versus how many bodies showed up in spectator form, the majority of the people in those stands during those 3 days were student athletes and
Yeah.
coaches,
Yeah.
and occasionally moms and dads, but it's not absolute. It's not like every kid in that competition has mom and dad, grandma and grandpa, brothers and
Yeah.
sisters flying out to do it.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, it's in Geneva, so no one's staying in Geneva, so Geneva itself is not really making
Yeah.
great money off
Right,
it. But
right.
but when you think about that, that doesn't happen with the Masters meet. When the Masters people, when they go to the meet, man, they're not staying at the Motel 6 just
No,
trying
no.
to get by. No, they're going downtown. You know, they're gonna they want they'll want their national meet banquet to be friggin' 5 stars, man.
Mhm.
Swimming pools and crystal, all that stuff. You know, just like a hip hop video coming at you. That's what they're looking for. That's what they're looking for. This is straight hip hop. Inside joke, no biggie. But yeah, I think that's like having a facility like that is not completely out of the question, because it's a lot of what we do, and I think we do when we start to build new facilities, is we're very conscious of how it fits in with the architecture of campus and what looks, because it's almost like, if you ever been to Colorado at Boulder, every building looks the same.
Yeah.
It's like you have to build the buildings that way. I think that we're kind of getting of that mindset where we want to have this image that is
Yeah.
consistent, you know.
I mean, like, they rebuilt the track for ThinkBox, basically, right?
ThinkBox commencement.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a number of things, but it was due. I mean, it was on the
Yeah,
books
I'm sure,
to get
yeah.
done, but it
Just
was.
got-
I think the ThinkBox thing was what pushed it up on the list.
Makes
Was that
sense.
it's like, all right, people have to walk into this foyer,
Yeah.
and they have to look out, and now we just got the new curtains this year, and so it looks like a first class. They're exactly like the old ones. They're just navy blue.
Oh, okay.
And they have new motors, so
Oh.
they go up faster
About
and
time.
such. That reminds me, I got to give Rocco his key. So now they have a key. Now I can't use my pocket knife to turn them up. I got a key now. But yeah, it was due, and I think that, every major university in the country that is concerned with rankings is also concerned with image. I mean, that's always going to be a thing. You want to have something that you can sell that is very visible, and so I'll say it all the time. I think we have some of the absolute best facilities in Division III, 100%. I mean, compared to regional peers where they have indoor tracks that are like 20 years old and the paint's chipping off of them, and
Mhm.
Do you remember that budget Mondo at Denison?
Dude, I don't want to talk about budget.
we have to go back there this year.
We do.
We do.
What's that-
I
what's
quit
that
the team,
brand?
man.
I know.
I'm not
that's-
going to that meeting.
Well, you might not be,
Connor.
because that weekend we may do something a little bit different.
All right.
Yeah, I don't want to speak too much
Yeah,
about it
that's-
yet, but
that's
it's because this year the indoor season got it's jacked up because of the leap year, so it's a year.
Yeah.
It's a week longer
Mm.
season. So typically the Joe Banks and the Bob Shannon, the ONU meet and the Denison meet
Yeah.
are the same day. This year they're 2 weeks. They're
Okay.
2 separate weeks. So it's basically, it was a matter of picking, like, you remember this, we talked about this. It was like what do you want? How do you want your turd sandwich, basically? Like that's what you're getting here. You're either gonna go 3 hours to ONU, sit your ass around for 15 hours, waiting for your 200-meter trial,
Mhm.
or you're going to go to Bob Shannon and run on the plastic, But at least we know. I mean, having that experience last year, at least we're not going in there expecting
Like big
something
more.
incredible. We're like,
Yeah.
oh man, they got Mondo. Wait, it's
No.
that Mondo.
It's
You
that
know what I mean?
Mondo.
It's
Discount Mondo.
it's. I think it's real Mondo. I think the issue is that Mondo over time, like even at
Hardens,
BW,
right?
it hardens.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing too is that it hardens outdoor. It hardens because of the UVs, and then it crumbles. Like at BW, that inside
Mhm.
lane is like puppy chow,
Yeah.
just ground up. But indoor, it's from the cleaning. You clean it too many times. You see down here, the paint comes off when you clean so much.
Yeah.
There's got to be something where there's like cleansers and things like that do something to it,
Right.
because it doesn't feel like Mondo anymore.
No.
But it's not ripped up. So it's like it's degrading in a way that's weird. Like
It just
it's
hardened it,
Yes,
like,
it becomes a
yeah.
shell.
Like the spikes are scraping it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Instead of
Yeah.
Yes, come in.
hey.
Yeah, come in. Sit down. Oh, so it's been a pleasure.
Yes.
In the
indeed.
podcast
It
realm. How many minutes? Wow, 45
45,
minutes.
yeah.
That's pretty good.
Pretty solid
It is
45.
pretty
I was expecting for it to be like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
It probably would be if you
Could-
let it.
Would
Yeah.
or could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so
But,
many
yeah.
directions you could go. I mean,
Oh,
it's,
yeah.
it's a bunch of. it's a bunch of track goobs sitting in an office talking track, you're gonna.
Well, that's what, like, literally on the way here, we were talking about how the fact that we don't even, like, we wouldn't, if the four of us just sat in a room and talked about
Yeah.
track, we wouldn't even
You
need,
need to plan a
like, a
conversation.
track meet
No.
to happen.
Yeah.
For, like,
Yeah.
we wouldn't need results.
Not at
just
all.
talk about track. But anyway, yeah, it's been a pleasure to have you guys on.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you
Yeah.
guys. It's good to be on.
Glad to have
good
you
to be
on.
good to be on the radio.
Yeah.
Yep.
To all our
Right.
billions of fans.
Yes, yes.
Seriously, how many people listen to this? Like, what do you got?
We've got like 100
Like
views.
100 the first time?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Probably not
Stepping stones.
unique views.
Yeah.
Probably like 20 people
Yeah.
maybe.
All right.
It's not bad.
But like a few more than we thought, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
I mean, it's fun.
True.
But
All
yeah.
right.
Good. Hopefully, no people that can hand me my
No.
pink slip and
Yeah.
send me packing.
Maybe.
I didn't say anything too crazy.
Anyway, this has been Watch the Clock with Dom and Ani, so catch you later.
Mhm.